When is the best time to sell your business? 5 key considerations, 1 insight from our experience. I'm Arthur Petropoulos, managing partner here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market, lower middle market M&A capital advisory firm helping companies generating $1 million to $10 million a year in pre-tax profit or EBITDA, sell their businesses and secure capital. So when contemplating potentially selling a business, what are 5 key considerations, things you want to have your arms around prior to beginning that to determine when is the best time to sell the business? Let's dig into those. The first thing is just that, having your arms around the business. So how do we define that more granularly? We say truly understanding the sales of the business, truly understanding the execution or fulfillment, the provision of the services, the making of the product of the business, and really understanding the operations of the business. How are people hired and fired? How is administrative items, invoicing, payments, AR, AP, how is all that managed? If you can define all 3 of those components, then people will believe that you have your arms around the business. Second, can the business be transitioned? And so what we mean by this is you don't have to be running the business from a passive perspective. There's very few situations in companies in that 1 to 10 EBITDA range where companies are truly run on a passive situation in terms of the owner not doing anything. But is there someone in the ranks, whether that's a head of operations, whether that's a CFO type of person, a CEO, even if the owner is effectively the chairman, that the business can be run by? And there's going to be some transition period, and obviously to the extent the business can be transitioned, that transition period can be shortened and the duration can be less. But definitely when determining if it's a good time, say, can the business be transitioned? Obviously someone from the acquirer side is likely to play a part in running the company, but do you have someone internally that the business can effectively be transitioned towards from an operational perspective? Third, do you have definable performance for the business? And so what we mean by this is, are the performance numbers, both historically, both in the present, and to the next point, looking forward a bit, can they be defined in terms of here's the revenue that comes in, here are the expenses, here's the cost structure of the business, and here's the operating profit or the EBITDA, the pre-tax profit. And that has to be adjusted to kind of scrape out the non-recurring items, scrape out non-business personal items, things of that nature. But if you can define performance of the business, it is very sellable. So number 4, kind of tying together some of these earlier components, is there an operational path forward? And typically this will start to harp in on the product, service, or offering. Is there a product pathway? Is there a service pathway in the sense of, okay, this is how we've been delivering the product, service, or offering in the past. This is how we do it right now. This is what we see as the future. And the future should entail some kind of a SWOT analysis. And so we think strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, but it doesn't have to be so complicated, but it can be an analysis just to say, here are the opportunities, here are the angles that you could dig further into the market to get further market share. Here are the risks against losing some of what is there, and here are the mitigants. So here are the reasons why that risk can be hedged against. And so if you can define those things, again, the business can be very sellable. And so to a last point, and this tends to be a little bit more qualitative than some of the other components discussed, what is the momentum of the business? Now, you can sprint through the finish line, you can eke through the finish line, but all of these things are going to have some sort of an implication relative to the parties you speak with, towards their perception of the business, towards their willingness to put forth aggressive terms. Is this business building momentum into the future, or is this business really languishing and stagnant in the way that it currently stands? And so the more that you can paint the picture of a positive momentum, of runway forward, of plans being in place for long beyond current ownership, that's going to have a beneficial impact. And so let's run through those real quick, and then we'll get to this one real insight that we've had in our space over the last 15 years. And so the question is, when is the best time to sell your business? Our perspective, when these 5 things are in place. 1, you have your arms around the business. 2, it is transitionable internally to someone else who can help operate the company. 3, you have definable performance. 4, you have an operational path forward. And 5, where there is positive momentum. So our insight, or the takeaway from doing this hundreds of times, is that none of these things really require an over-reliance or an over-analysis of the macroeconomic environment. The amount of times we hear, well, we have to wait for the election, well, we have to wait for what's going to happen with interest rates, capital gains taxes, whatever it may be. When it comes to businesses that are doing 1 to 10 million in profit, you are selling the business. Yes, the fundamentals matter in terms of the numbers, but truly what you're selling is either access to a customer base or capabilities, services, or an offering that an acquirer wants. And in either of those cases, they're really thinking about building it from the ground up, or trying to get into new markets, or trying to get into new products, or just buying the capability. And they're taking a far longer term view of the world. If you're selling a business to Honeywell, Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle, like, they plan on being in in business forever, if you will, from their mandate or perspective. And so because of that, the macroeconomic considerations to them are lesser. They're figuring out how to plan those accordingly relative to their business. And so as it pertains to your business, it does not really need to be a terribly large consideration. Again, if you can define all of those things that we mentioned, if you can really show the picture of a business that has all of its business in order and at the same time has a good amount of momentum and trajectory moving forward, then the macroeconomic environment is really going to be a secondary, if not lesser, consideration. So that's a thought for today. When is it best to sell your business? Hope the week's getting off to a good start for everyone. Keep pushing forward. God bless. See you for next time.